Hi, in this short video, I'm going to show you the relationship between the Watson API Explorer tool and the instances of the Watson services that you would run the API Explorer against in your IBM Cloud account. So let's start by assuming that you've logged in to IBM Cloud. So you can go to the URL bluemix.net or console.bluemix.net and provide your IBM.com credentials and log in. Once you're there, you should be at the dashboard. If for some reason you're not at the dashboard, you can always click on this icon to the top left of the screen and then select dashboard. But once you're in the dashboard, it says dashboard right here, and if you have any applications and services already running, they will show up in the list here. So let's get started by creating an instance of Watson Natural Language Understanding. And what we'll do after this is, once the instance is created, we'll show you how to use this instance with the Watson API Explorer. So I'll click on Create Resource, and I'll go down to the Watson category, and again I'm going to select the Natural Language Understanding. Of course, you could select the service that you're interested in and adjust it appropriately, but let's go with Natural Language Understanding for now, and I'll select all the defaults. It's the light plan, and I'll hit Create. So once the service is created, it will take you inside the tool that you can use to manage the service. And what I like to do is, instead of using the Getting Started area, I like to use the Service Credentials area, because if you come back to the tool later on, it's a lot easier to manage your credentials from this area. So I'll hit on Service Credentials. And as you can see, it's created some credentials for me. Depending on the service, you may not get credentials. So if you use a service that does not have any credentials listed, you simply click on New Credential, follow the prompt, and you will end up with credentials. Once you have credentials, if you click over here on View Credentials, you're able to see the credentials. And the credentials will vary by service based on what's required. Some require a username password, some require username password and an API key, and different services will have different URLs for the endpoints that you use in order to invoke REST calls against this service. In terms of for the purpose of using the API Explorer, though, you don't really need to know the URL, because this is actually hard-coded into the API Explorer itself. So for the purpose of using API Explorer, you don't really need to know the URL, because this is actually baked into API Explorer. It knows the URL for the various service types. Okay, so what I want to do is copy these service credentials to my clipboard, and then I won't show it here, but I'll paste these to like a text file on my desktop or someplace that's convenient so I can get to them later on. But with that, I'm done. I've created my instance. So let's go to the API Explorer. I have brought that up already in a different browser tab. If you forget, you can always Google Watson API Explorer, or just remember the URL watson-api-explorer.mybluemix.net. And this takes you to the launch point of the API Explorer. And at this point, we want to select the service that we're interested in. And of course, we used Natural Language Understanding before. So now we're going to click on Natural Language Understanding to start exercising the API calls. As you can see here, it's prompting me for the username and password. So now I would go refer to my credentials that I saved earlier on. And again, these, not showing you these, but I just had these in a text file on my desktop. So that's my username, and now let's go grab the password and I'll paste those in. Then I will click on the API that I need to exercise, or the endpoint that I need to exercise. So in this case, I want to click on the analyze endpoint, where I will give it some text and I will get the analysis back from the service. Once I'm here, I have my credentials. I can start exercising the API. So let's type in some text, some features. I just want entities for now, and these are all the different parameters that you can provide for this particular API endpoint. And if I scroll down, I get to the try it out button, and I can do that, and then it returns the results.